Before we begin, I just want to give a huge shout out to one of my favorite apps of all time, Dashlane, for sponsoring this video. And now, here we go. Hey everyone, welcome back to the SANspotter YouTube channel. My name is Scott, and I've just arrived here at Terminal 4 at JFK feeling really excited about giving Virgin Atlantic's new A350 a try. Today is September 16th, 2019, exactly 6 days after the inaugural flight, and why haven't I heard a peep on social media about the start of this service? Does nobody even care? It occurred to me as I was checking in that perhaps the reason why I hadn't heard anything was because the inaugural flight had been delayed and that I completely missed that news. I asked the guy if this flight was going to be an A350, and it took him exactly 2 mouse clicks and 3 taps of the keyboard to confirm that yes, it was indeed going to be a shiny new Airbus. How come nobody cares? As fun and carefree as it may seem to travel as much as I do, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. It can be a total grind sometimes. You see, my to-do list for the SANspotter brand is never ending, and I work just as hard while on the road as I do when at home in between trips. I basically run my business from my phone when traveling like this, and I need access to everything on my main workstation at home in order to be productive and not get behind on anything. And that's exactly why I've always been a huge fan of Dashlane. It's a great app for those who travel frequently since it syncs all your passwords and logins between all your devices, no matter where in the world you are. And for a guy like me who can't remember anything, let alone complex passwords, that's huge. I especially like it because I can keep copies of important documents, such as my passport, encrypted and safe, yet easily accessible whenever I need it. Dashlane can also autofill personal and payment information when purchasing stuff online. It's lightning fast, which is super handy for me when buying airline tickets, mainly because it eliminates the possibility of having second thoughts about the 15-hour economy class flight that I'm booking as I'm manually inputting my info. Anyway, I've teamed up with Dashlane to give the SANspotter audience the opportunity to try Dashlane Premium for free for 30 days. No strings attached. After that, you'll get 10% off your paid subscription. It's also important to note that you're under no obligation to keep the premium version once your trial is over, because, well, even the free version of Dashlane is packed with really cool features and it's definitely worth keeping. All you gotta do is use the link in the description below and be sure to use the promo code SANspotter. It's that easy. Okay, Scott, you got this. Even though I was getting the sense that this new Virgin Atlantic A350 wasn't the big deal that I thought it was going to be, I was still feeling the pressure to put together a good review. Trust me, you don't want to see SANspotter crack under pressure. The funniest thing about this experience so far is that I just couldn't wait to start writing the written review for this flight as I was wandering around the terminal killing time. For those that don't know, my written reviews are more detailed and even more silly than these videos. Anyway, the link to my full written review for this Virgin Atlantic experience is in the description below. Read it at your own risk. Would you look at that? We're 5 minutes away from boarding this flight, and there's not a single person at the window taking pics of that beautiful new A350 sitting out there. I did see several people taking pics of their boarding pass, however, so at least I was blending in nicely as I was getting this footage. Here we go. The moment I've been patiently waiting for all day, and if I'm being honest, I was not disappointed as I stepped on board this aircraft. I could tell right away that this was going to be a good flight. Now, this is normally the part of the review where I introduce you to the seat and the overall ambiance of the cabin, but good God, this mood lighting is intense. So intense, as a matter of fact, that my camera and brain were having major difficulties trying to stay focused. It was so obnoxiously awesome. First impressions so far? I'm digging this quite a bit. The seats are reasonably comfortable with decent legroom, and the high-resolution video screens are a nice complement to the psychedelic mood lighting. This is a very impressive and colorful economy class cabin. I'd absolutely love to tell you what color these blankets are, but the mood lighting is making everything look pink and purple. They could have been green for all I know. Anyway, there were also somewhat comfortable looking headsets, and not one, but 2 USB ports at every seat. One was for viewing your media on the video screen, and the other was a dedicated power port. Thank you. As a way of celebrating the launch of the A350, everyone was given free Wi-Fi access for the entire duration of the flight. Finally, the first bit of true A350 love. I'm not a huge consumer of in-flight entertainment since I'm usually sleeping or working on flights, but I've got to say that these video screens were highly impressive. The first order of business? Finding the map, of course. Screw the map. This is what I'm talking about. Not only were there several external cameras to choose from, the high resolution of both the cameras and the screen made this downright fascinating to watch. Okay, I'm worried now. Am I going to spend the entire flight poking around with the moving map? All I gotta say is, I would have done much better in geography class if there were pictures of airplanes in the textbooks. Having never once flown Virgin Atlantic in economy class before, I can't say that I wasn't looking forward to seeing what they serve back here. I know the food up in business class is pretty good, so perhaps this has the potential to be an economy class meal to remember? It was, but, well, I'll get to that in a moment. Of all the planes I would expect to find a disgusting tray table, it certainly wouldn't be a brand new A350. These grease spots were not what I was expecting, and as I sat there with clenched hands and butt cheeks, I was relieved to discover that it was just leftover moisture from the wipe down the cleaning crew gave it. Disaster averted. It occurred to me as I was editing this video that it looked as if I didn't even take a sip of the water in those previous clips. It's all smoke and mirrors, my friends. Anyway, dinner is served, and, okay, I guess I was expecting something a little more substantial. All I gotta say is how unfortunate it is that you can't see my face as I was peeling back the cover off my main course. The expression of shock and confusion would have been absolutely hilarious, and possibly Academy Award winning since I was able to transition so quickly to soul-crushing sadness. Considering my own lack of culinary skills, I'm not overly picky when it comes to food. However, I expected something more from Virgin Atlantic, especially considering how dominant they are between New York and London. Making this meal even more frustrating was the fact that they came through to pick up the trays even before I was finished. I know, I didn't have to let them take it, but I will say that sending that tray of food back to the kitchen did feel oddly satisfying. Good news for all of you who have been patiently waiting for me to do something interesting with my loo reviews. Check this out. Whoa, I know, right? The look of satisfaction on my face in the mirror says it all. For the record, despite the disappointing meal service, I'm still having tons of fun. This Virgin Atlantic A350 is impressive. There I go again, playing with the moving map when I should be sleeping. And yes, what you've heard is true. Staring at the map does not make the flight go any faster. I should also mention that I had absolutely no excuse not to sleep, because I had an entire row to myself, so getting comfortable was not an issue. That dang map. An hour and a half before landing, and it's time to eat again. Well, snack is the more appropriate term here, since they didn't give us anything substantial. All I gotta say is that there is a full English breakfast with my name on it at Heathrow Airport, and I'm gonna find it once we land. Eastbound flights from New York to London are usually relatively short, and this was no exception, coming in at just 6 hours and 57 minutes. I definitely could have gone longer in this seat, but more food would have been required. This moment right here, just 25 minutes from landing, was truly the most memorable from the entire flight. The orange sunrise combined with the psychedelic pink mood lighting was downright magical. Yes. Anyone who has flown into Heathrow any time in the last 30 years knows exactly what is happening here. I believe this is lap 5 of the downward spiral into the approach. And that's it. That's what the Virgin Atlantic A350 experience is all about. Other than the abysmal food, I quite enjoyed this flight, and I can't wait to do it again sometime. As I soak up the last little bit of this hot pink mood lighting, it's a fantastic opportunity to give thanks to all my patrons, especially my upper tier members Riley Wingo, John Spencer, QFS Aviation, Moment in the Sky, Erik Shoell, Joshua Bedel, Trips with Rory, and Togan Traveler. Links to all of their content is in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and as usual, I'll catch you in the next one.